Welcome to Unit 2, Lesson 2. Today we're going to talk about perimeter. We're going to refresh some of our thoughts around area. We're going to take a few notes and you're going to complete some classwork and then send it to Canvas for me and work on your homework. So let's get started. Please make sure before you begin this lesson that you have your classwork notebook out and that you have a pencil ready to go. Our learning target for this part of our lesson would be that I understand the value of a variable and can combine like terms. So this is a review from yesterday, kind of a warm-up to get your thoughts ready. So yesterday we were working on combining like terms. We spent a lot of time having a conversation about things that can be combined and what that looks like. The variable stays the same. You would add the coefficient in front of that, or subtract depending on what the value of the coefficient is. So what I'd like you to do is to pause this video, write down everything that's in column 1, everything that's in column 2, and find the pairs that can be joined. And then in column 3, tell me what the combined amount is. So pause this, and when you come back, you can take a peek at what my answers are. Okay, so we're back. And you can see what I did. Hopefully you were able to pause this and work on this. A couple of things I just want to point out. On the left-hand side, I tried to make some trails, but it's crazy confusing. So on the right-hand side in column 3, the first thing that you'll see listed in this column is right here. And that is the letter and then the number. So column 1 and column 1 and column 2, because it was a letter and a number. What I did then was I wrote down the value of column A and the value of column B, and this is the answer. Now you will notice that there's no equals, just like we talked yesterday. This should be in a different format, and we will talk about that in a second. But I've just gone and put the arrow there to show that these two together equate to the 8x. So take a look as you go through and just really be mindful of things like this one right down here, the very last one. You have a positive c and a negative 7c. Together they're going to be a negative 6c. Don't forget that negative. Another thing I want you to be mindful of is the fact that there's just the letter s in this d. Always remember that in front of that s, and we talked about this in class, lives a value of 1. So it's 10 plus 1, which is 11. So hopefully that was understandable for you. If you have questions, of course, you can ask me tomorrow. If not, let's move forward. So our process today is you're going to be working with your table partner. I want you to stay put until you're done with all of the lesson. You're writing down all of the original problems. Make sure that you leave space. So I'm going to write here, leave space, because we're going to come back and we're going to end up doing a little bit more work on each of the original problems. So you're going to want to leave some space. You want to complete all the steps, super important. Always simplify whenever you can. This is math. And circle your final answer because it makes Mrs. Brewer happy. Okay? So perimeter. A learning target would be that I could find the distance around the entire outside of a shape. And when you go all the way around the entire outside of a shape, you are finding the perimeter. So we're going to pause just for a second, and I would like you to make sure that you have this information in your classwork notebook. I'll probably go faster than you need, but this is a video. You can pause it, you can rewind it, you can do whatever is needed for you to make sure that you fill your knowledge bucket, okay? So one of the things that I want to make sure I talk about today is this idea of a funnel approach. So funnel solving. So what is funnel solving? Well, it's very simply a top-down solving method. And it's something that we're going to use for all of our algebra. So whenever you are given a problem to solve, you're going to be using this idea of funnel down. So basically what it looks like is that you start with your main equation and you funnel down this way with all of the individual steps until you get to the final answer. And then as you know I like you to circle your final answer. All right? So I'm going to give you just like a really quick, simple kind of example that, makes no sense whatsoever. But if I had a problem that, let's just say if I was making it up, if I had 3 times 2 plus 4, and then let's say I had minus 2 times 7. Okay, so that is our original problem. The first thing I want to do is I want to prove that I understand the order of operations by removing my parentheses. So I'm going to do that. So 3 times 2 is going to get me 6. There's nothing to do here, so I'm just going to continue to bring that down. I bring down the negative, and then I want to do this multiplication, so 14. So I know that you guys can do this in your head, but what's important is we're practicing, right? So the next 2 things, you always do 2 things at a time from left to right. 6 plus 4 is 10. And then we write down the rest of our problem. And then we have 10 minus 14 would be negative 4, and we circle that. And so as you can see very clearly, this is a funnel down, just like it looks right to the left. We have funnel down. We started with our original equation, and we just broke it down until we got our solution. So that's the only note that we're going to be taking for today. So once you're done with this, you can move on. So yesterday we talked about area and we talked about our tiles. We talked about the fact that the tiles are named from the area, the length times the height. So today we're going to be focusing on the sides, understanding what makes up each one of those tiles, an X, a 1, a Y, whatever else. We're only going to have those 2. And we're going to be finding the perimeter of simple shapes to start and then complex shapes to move forward. So the first thing that I need you to do is to pause this video and copy down the expression that you see. So you're back. So now that you've copied it down, we're going to take a look over here. I have all of your instructions right here. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy it into our notebook. Done. Then we're going to label the sides. Let's take a look at that. What does that mean, labeling the sides? What we're going to do is we're going to go all the way around the whole outside, and we're going to say which each side is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it this way, and then you can follow suit or you can do it a different way. The first thing I do is I go through and I make all of my X's blue. So all of my X sides are going to be blue. I usually make a little key, and I say that the blue would be X. That is not a blue color. Sorry about that, you guys. So blue would be X. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have green be Y. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have pink be a 1, a unit color. Okay, so I will add our little dots like this. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my 1s. That's the next thing I'm going to do. So as you can see, my 1s are right here. I have a 1 here. That is not what I wanted. I have a 1 right here. I have a 1 here, here, and then I also have a 1 right there. Next up, I'm going to highlight my greens for my Ys. So everything's highlighted. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to go back and I want to write down the values for each one of them. So I'll start with my X's. So I have X's up top, on the bottom, over here. I'll do my Y's next. I have a Y and a Y. And then I'll do my units. I have a 1 and all of these 1s. So we're going to start just by writing down this original expression. We're only going to do this once or twice, and then we're going to simplify our expression by combining like terms, which is what we did yesterday. So going back to our list over here to the left, we copied it down, we labeled the sides, we're going to make a list of all the parts. That's the original expression. So that's the next thing that we're going to be doing. So the original expression is composed of what? Well, I like to start right here, and I'm going to go around that way. So what do I have? I have X plus 1 plus Y plus 1 plus X plus 1 plus X plus 1. This is tedious. Plus Y plus 1 plus X plus 1. I usually count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that is correct. And then the next thing we want to do is obviously we're going to simplify. And that should be the easiest part for you. So back to our list, we're going to simplify the expression and we're going to write in order. What I want you to think about is writing x first, or x squared, and then x, and then y squared, and then y, and then your constant values last. Positive before negative, but they should be combined, so you should only have one number. So how many x's do we have? We have 4 x's, so we have 4x. And we are joining these together, adding, and then we have 2 y's. Remember, how many of what? And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the ones. And that's how you do this problem. Okay, so now for the next one, I want you to pause, copy it down, and do all of the work. I'm going to just keep talking while I go through this. You can completely fast forward that and just go to the end and check your answer if that is where you are at. So copy your problem into your notebook, and then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make my key, and I'm going to label my sides. So I'm going to start with, I have x, and then I have y, and I have my unit tiles. I'm not going to need the y this time, but I'm still going to put it there. I have my x, I have my y, and then I have my unit tiles. So I have a unit tile all the way around, and then I have my x's over here. Oh, but there's a problem going on right here because this x is actually being interrupted. So hopefully last year you had a conversation about the interrupted side. So that's going to be adding something for us. So my red, which looks like our pink, and I think I need to change that color, is going to be the interrupted side. Okay, so this is interrupted. Oops. Oopsie, I'm sorry, something has happened here. Okay, so now I'm back. So if let's go back, we'll just start with our x's and our ones. So I have an x here, but I can't do anything about the interrupted, and I have all of my ones right here. Okay, so let's talk about the interrupted. What did it start out as? It started out as an x. Does everybody see that? This whole side right here used to be an x. And then how much space is being covered? Well, if you look over here, you can see that that is the value of 1. So I need to take that off because this value is being covered and is not part of the perimeter. If you were taking a walk all the way around, you would just continue around this way. You would not have this part of the x, 1 minus that. So let's go ahead and write down our original expression. So I have x plus 1 plus x minus 1, because that's that interrupted space, plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. And I'm going to make sure I got them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6. I missed one. So that's why we count plus 1. Okay, so now let's talk about simplifying the expression. How many x's do you see when you look at this? Well, hopefully you see this one, and then you see this one. So that's still 2 x's. So I still have 2x. And let's take a look at how many ones I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But look at this, I'm subtracting a 1. So I actually have 5 minus 1, which gets me plus 4. So that's the simplified expression. Okay, so copy this one down into your notebook, and I'm going to go through the whole thing again, and just stay with me. So I'm going to start with my x. I'll do my key over here. I have an x. I have a unit. I do have y's this time. And I also have interrupted. So I will put my highlighters. Here's my highlight. And then I have my y, and I have my unit, and I have my x. All right, so I'll start with my x. So this is an x side, as is this. I'm going to do my interrupted side this is an interrupted side, and so is this. I have two interrupted sides in this one. Now I'm going to do my y's. I have a y, and I have another y, and a third y. And last but not least, I will do my units. 1, 2, and 3. So let's start doing some labeling now. I'm going to do the units first and get them over with because they are the easiest. So it looks like that unit did not label. I think. There we go. Okay. So we have a 1 and a 1 and a 1. I'm going to write those down. I have 1 plus 1 plus 1 because it gets a little bit challenging after a while. Next up, I'm going to do my y's. So I have a y here, I have a y here, and I have a y up here. I'm going to do my x's now. I have an x here, and I have an x here. Okay? So let's take a look at our interrupted sides. If I come and I take a look at this interrupted side right here, we'll go over here. That side used to be an x, right? X. And then how much did we take off? 1. Okay, and then let's take a look at this one. This side used to be a y. And how much is being taken off? An x. So this problem is a little bit challenging. So now let's go ahead and see if we can write the rest of our problem down. So I'll start right here. I have a y plus an x plus an x. I did all of my ones over here. And then I have an x minus 1. And then I have a y minus x. And then I have a y and a y and a y. And I believe I have everything. I'm going to double count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got everything. Okay, so let's combine. We know that we're going to have 3 ones, and that's fine. Let's start with our x's. I have 2 of them, one here and one here. But I had a third one here, but then I'm subtracting 1. So what do I have? I actually have 3 x's, and I'm subtracting an x. I have 3 x's, 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm subtracting an x. So that leaves me with 2x. So I have 2x. And we're going to add our y's. I have 3 y's, 1, 2, 3. I have 3 y's, and I have another y. So I have another y. So in total I have 4 y's. So I have 4y. And then I have these 3 ones, 1, 2, 3, but I'm subtracting 1. So it would be 3 minus 1, so that leaves me with 2 plus 2. So I have 2x plus 4y plus 2. That one is pretty challenging. Okay, let's do it again. Why not? So we'll make ourselves a key. You can see we have x's, we have y's, and we have 1's. So we're going to need all 3. We're going to need our key to have an x. We're going to need our key to have a 1. We're going to need our key to have a y. And we are also going to need our key to have interrupted. And we'll make our highlights just because they're fun. Yellow, green, blue, and red. All right. So let's go around. We'll start with our x's. We have an x and an x. We have an x and an x. Excellent. Let's do our y's next. We have a y over here. And that is it because this side is an interrupted side. Let's do our units. Unit, unit, unit. And lots more units. And one way over here on the back. And then last but not least is our interrupted side. And that's this side right here. So let's start with that side. This used to be a y. And we took off this much, which was a 1. We can do our units next. we have a 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We'll do our x's, an x, and an x, another x, another x, and last but not least is our y's. All right, let's put it all together and see what we have. We'll start right here. We have an x, and then we have 3 1s. Okay, then we have a y minus 1. Then we have another x, another 1, and another x. And that is what happens when you're talking and writing at the same time. Okay. Then we have 3 more 1s, and another x, and another y. Okay, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, we did it again. So let's add them all up. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 x's. So 4x. And I have 2 y's plus 2y. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 1s. But I'm subtracting 1, which leaves me with 6. There you go. So this page should look very familiar because each one of these is a value that we found while we were doing our individual calculations. So we're going to move forward and we're going to do some substitution. We're going to practice our funnel approach. So what this asks us to do is it says going back to the shapes you just used, right? The ones that you just did in your classwork notebook. We're going to calculate the value of the perimeter when x is 3 and y is 8 for each one of these. So take a second, write down each one, or I guess just go back to each one of these individual problems that we did, and maybe on the top, right, x is 3 and y is 8. And I'm going to show you what I need. We're going to start with number 2. That's the simplest. I'll change my writing to pink. Okay, so we know that x is 3. So we want to take 2 and we want to put in parentheses 3. Using the funnel down approach, 6 plus 4, and we get 10. And that's how we do that. So now we can go back to number 1. We end up with 4 times 3, because that's what x is, plus 2 times 8 plus 6. So we have 12 plus 16 plus 6. We have 28 plus 6. We have 34. Fabulous. Let's do number 3. 2 times 3 plus 4 times 8 plus 2. We have 6 plus 32 plus 2. 6 plus 32 is 38 plus 2. We have 40. And lastly, let's do number 4. We have 4 times 3 plus 2 times 8 plus 6. Ooh, that looks very familiar with number 1, right? So we have 12 plus 16 plus 6. We have 28 plus 6. We have 34. Well done. Okay, so here's a challenge for you. I want you to think about what would it look like if I asked you to go ahead and find a value for each one of these shapes, and I want you to use the area of the shape, and I want you to write down what the area is, and then I want you to substitute with that same value of 3 and 8 for x and y. So it says find the expression for the area of each shape and then add the value. Well, the value of the area, the expression for the area of the shape, is just taking all of the individual pieces. How many x's do we have? We have 2 of them. How many y's do we have? We have 1. And how many units? These are units, plus 2. So that is the value of the area of the shape. So if we take that and then we substitute 2 times 3 plus 8 plus 2, 6 plus 8 plus 2, 14 plus 2, the area is 16. for this shape 1. Let's take a look at the second one. The area for this is just x plus 1. So x is 3. We have 3 plus 1. That's 4. Shape number 3, we have x squared. That's going to come first. Plus y squared plus 1. X squared, it's 3 squared. Plus 8 squared. Big numbers. Plus 1. 3 squared is 9. 8 squared is 64 plus 1. 9 plus 64 is 73. Plus 1 is 74. And shape 4, well, let's see. We have an x. And let's do the y's next. There's a lot of conversation about what goes first, an xy or a y. It doesn't really matter, but we'll just do x's, y's, and then xy's. And then we have xy. No units on this one. So we have 3 plus 3 times 8 plus 3 times 8. Interesting, right? So we have 3 plus 24 plus 24. 3 plus 24 is 27 plus 24. The answer to this is 51. Okay, so that is wonderful. What I want you to do right now is to make sure that your answers and your partner's answers next to you work and match. And once they do, you can be done with this. You can close it up and just make sure you have it. We'll talk about it tomorrow in class, of course. Your assignment now is to move into your learning communities if there's still class time left. And your R&P that I need you to do is number 17. If you have extra time, please work on the Unit 2 activities.